In 2002, if you remember very well, that was the year that the opposition, I'm talking about the opposition had realized, that they cannot go it alone and win the seat. So they got together. There was this party that had been formed between Charity Ngilo and Charity Ngilo. There was Mwai Kibaki, and there was Kijana Wamalwa. They had a party, National Alliance of Kenya, something like that. NAC, N-A-K, National Alliance of Kenya. Then there was that, and that was okay. And you remember NDP that had been formed by Raila Amolo Odinga had joined KANU, and Raila was the Secretary General of KANU. So towards 2001, 2002, actually 2002, there was a big disagreement because now the president had now appointed his point man, because his 10 years we are going to end, because you remember that now this was going to be 10 years after the multi-party elections, and you remember in 1992 he won, 1997 he won. Now 2002 he had to relinquish the seat because that was now 10 years, and you remember the constitution had said 2 terms. It was supposed to be now a 2-term, so he knew he was not going to run. So people like Raila thought that they will be appointed. Somebody like Saitoti thought that it will be appointed. These were powerful ministers in the government of Mwai. Somebody like Kalonzo, Musyoka thought that it would be appointed. And people like Musalia, Mudavadi thought that they would also be appointed to run for the 2002 election. But in his wisdom, President Mwai knew that he was not going to appoint them, so he appointed this man called Uhuru Kenyatta, the young man, and they were very furious, very furious. So they jumped off the ship. That is Raila, Kalonzo, Saitoti, other people, I can't remember who, but there are quite a few of them, and they formed what is called LDP, Liberal Party of Kenya. They were with the Mudavadi. They came and they realized that no, if we go alone and NARC goes alone, NARC was already a coalition. These people had come out with out of KANU. They also, they were quite formidable because they were strong leaders in their own constituencies or home counties. Or then they were just a constituency. They were members of parliament. Some of them actually were cabinet ministers. So when Moi decided that it's Uhuru who is going to run for as president under the KANU ticket, they were very furious. They were very disappointed because they knew that it was going to be one of them. But somehow Mudavadi did not go. Actually, that's how Mudavadi became the vice president then. Mudavadi remained with Moi, so he became the vice president, but for a very short time because the elections were very near. So these people formed the LDP. LDP came and joined with NAK, and then the formidable part NARC came into being, a National Rainbow Coalition. The National Rainbow Coalition, the NARC. NARC, and was very powerful with Akina now Kibaki, Charity Kalokingilo, people like Akina Mudia Wari, people like Michael Kijana Wamalwa. It was quite a formidable togetherness. That became very strong. NARC became very strong, and then when they were there trying, and Nyachai was even part of it. Nyachai had come with his Ford Kenya. I think Nyachai had formed, not Ford Kenya, Ford People. Nyachai had formed a party. He was going to come as Ford. I think he also came out with them. He had his own party. So while they were discussing who will be their flag bearer in NARC, while they were discussing who will be their flag bearers at the Serena Hotel, there was going to be a big rally at the Uhuru Park. I think somebody like Kalonzo missed that meeting, but I'm not sure. But you see, some of them didn't think it was going to be a powerful meeting, but there was going to be a NARC meeting there. So Raila came to the meeting. When it came his turn to talk, he had talked with Nyachai. Nyachai was supposed to be appointed by Raila, I think. That's what they had agreed, but I'm not sure. But he was very disappointed because now he was not appointed. So when Raila came to Uhuru Park, he asked the people now, they were making a lot of noise. There was a lot of noise, nini, and then now it was his turn. So he asked the people, now huyu Kibaki si Anatosha? He just asked, he posed it as a question. But now these people said that is it. Actually, the meeting ended there. After just that question. Now huyu Kibaki si Anatosha? You can imagine all Uhuru Park went wild. Noise, kelele, shangwe na vigelegele, as they say in Kiswahili. Shangwe na vigelegele. Everybody na Kibaki tosha, Kibaki tosha, Kibaki tosha, Kibaki tosha, Kibaki tosha, Kibaki tosha. And then there was that, and they now sat down, and Kibaki was the flag bearer for NARC. And Uhuru Kenyatta was the flag bearer for KANU. As a matter of fact, I remained in KANU because I was supporting the choice of Uhuru, because I knew if Uhuru becomes president, he's going to appoint me the High Commissioner for London. That was my thinking. I was saying now if Uhuru gets into the presidency, I'll approach him and tell him that I want to be the High Commission in London, because I wanted to know what happened in Lancaster. And I thought the only best way to do it, because these things are shrouded in secrecy, is to be the High Commissioner in London, and then I'll be able to now find out and dig out and find out what is this script that is being hidden. I knew that my opportunity would be if Uhuru becomes president. So I remained in KANU. I voted KANU that year, but we were trounced badly. KANU tulipigwa vibaya sana. Kama ni bowling ingekuwa ni 7-0 ama 10-0. Anyway, NARC was very powerful. NARC won with a very high majority. I think it was over 60, almost 70%. So Kibaki became the president from 203 rather. Then from there, we continued with Kibaki. Now there was also this, you remember multipartyism, at the clamor of multipartyism, there was also this a need for a new constitution. So there was that fight, but Kibaki didn't want a new constitution. But Kina Raila were very, very keen on the new constitution. Kina Raila they were made cabinet ministers. I think then is when Raila was minister for roads. In Kibaki's, in Moi's government, he was, I think, minister for energy. But in Kibaki's, he was minister for roads. He came up with these bypasses. I remember him going for some of the big, big guns. in the country, and even demolished some very big buildings that were road reserves, that had been built on road reserves. Although the road reserve had been allocated to very powerful people who had even title deeds, but Raila did not care. He knew that those were road reserves under the they were just had been grabbed, and he knew he had the support of the president. So some of these buildings went out. I remember, I think Kivuitu became a senator at one time in Embu. I think one of his buildings was demolished, and I was on the again reserve. And that's when Kivuitu decided now he'll also go into politics. I think in 2007 he ran and he won in Embu or something, either MP or senator. But Kivuitu, that's how we knew about Kivuitu. Kivuitu is a surveyor. Is one of the prominent surveyors in Kenya, one of the top surveyors in Kenya. Anyway, now this happened. Bypasses. There is a southern bypass, eastern bypass, northern bypass. All these bypasses came during the era of NARC, the NARC era. It was a very formidable government, a very powerful, and they again disagreed, and because there were people who were pushing for a new constitution. So then they had agreed that they go with what you'd call the bombers of Kenya new constitution, bombers or whatever, or I think Kina Yashpal guy, Kina Lumumba, they had come up with a very good document, and Kibaki was not for it, but I think he was pushed to the corner, so he agreed, and then there was a referendum because here now the NARC government kind of split. There was the people who were for the constitution and the people who were for the I think there was a Kilifi or there were two. There were argument. I think there was a Kilifi Wako draft which had been drafted by the government, and then there was the one that had been drafted by the people at the Fungamano House. That was, I think, the bombers of Kenya draft, or the one that Wananchi were for, and that's how that was the one that became orange. Those are, and then Kivuitu, the man in charge of elections then, Samuel Kivuitu, decided then we'll have to have a referendum and decide whether the constitution is going to be, which one is going to be implemented out of the two. There was the one that was being supported by the people of Ufungamano and I think bombers, and then there was a Kilifi Wako draft that was being supported by the government, that is the Mwai, Kibaki and company. So that was the banana. Again, I lost because I went with the banana. I was supporting one of the member for Kadhiani then was Chalo Kaindi. So Chalo Kaindi was my friend and I was supporting Chalo. So I went with the banana, but at least we lost. I think that was a decade of my losing in politics, because I was becoming selfish. Because now here I was going there because I want Kaindi to appoint me something if we win in the new thing. The other one I told you 202, I wanted Uhuru to appoint me something. So you see, every time you go into politics with some selfish interest, I think God sees. Nafikiri God sees and says, no, this man is not genuine. Because my agenda to go into government was not to go and help the government. The idea was to go and benefit myself then, but not benefit myself. You see, I was seeing that's the only way I can go into the government, because my idea has been, and it still is, to make sure that corruption is legalized. I want you to note this. I wanted to legalize corruption, and you see, unless you have some voice, you cannot talk about legalizing corruption, because majority of Kenyans or the elite in Kenya, they have all, I think 90%, if not 99%, have become what they are through corruption. And then they tell us that they are going to fight corruption. But since I was a young man, I've never seen corruption being fought. Every time they do, they just do some funny window dressing. They come and arrest 1, 2, 3 people, given a sentence, then they are released. And our corruption law is not that good. That's why I want us to go there and legalize it, so that we know. Because some of us, we cannot do business in this country because we think that what we are, business is done straight in this country. There is nobody who does straight business in Kenya today. So if there is anybody who does straight business in Kenya and they have made millions, I would like them to write or to tag, to call me or say give me their name and their business and the comment below, because even Safaricom was formed under corruption. So I don't know. So I believe that since everything is done under corruption, let's legalize it. So let's legalize corruption. That is why I wanted to get into government, but I was never able to. I tried again, but we'll get to that later. I tried again, and I'm going to try again. I have to legalize corruption. I think corruption has to be legalized in Kenya because it's done left, right, and center. I don't know any Kenyan who is never been involved in corruption. If you know anybody who has never been involved in corruption and they have made good money or they have gotten high position, to give me your name and the organization you are working with that doesn't have corruption. Because I know all organizations, all businesses, all institutions of government are run through corruption. And I want us to understand that, so that the young generation, the Gen Zs, they don't go there innocently. They go knowing that you have to be corrupt to get anywhere in Kenya. You have to be corrupt to get anywhere in Kenya. So let's legalize corruption so that it doesn't look bad, because they just cheat us that there is no corruption, but it's all over. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. I will give you a few examples later, but at the moment, just understand that everybody in this country is corrupt. Whoever is not corrupt, just put your name down, give me your argument, and then we will debate. Because I want us to legalize corruption so that it doesn't look like it's a bad thing and everybody uses it. Because they say they are fighting corruption, but everybody is involved in corruption. I've never seen anybody fighting for corruption genuinely. If you know a genuine person who fights for corruption, let me know in the comment below, and then we will be able to discuss and see how we can help fight corruption. Because I don't see us fighting corruption, because it was said since independence, and now we are, I think, 63, 64, almost 65 years of independence, and everybody is corrupt. All the people I know who have made money, who have gotten anywhere, they have just done it through corruption. So corruption is a thing, and let's embrace it. Let's just legalize it so it looks neat. We can call it facilitation. We can come with some good words. There are a lot of English words we can use to disguise it. We will not call it corruption, because when you call it corruption, then it will look like we are legalizing theft. But we will legalize it. We need to legalize corruption so that we know if you want to vie for political office and a certain political party, you have to pay the chairman or the owner of the party a certain amount. That is corruption. Let's agree. But anyway, Orange won, and the constitution was defeated because the banana was defeated, because it was either you vote banana against for the constitution, or orange for not the constitution. So the government was defeated, and then when Kibaki now came back to government, he removed most of these ministers who had cabinet posts, members of parliament, and had supported the orange movement or the Katiba. katiba ya wananchi, the mfangano katiba, the one that wananchi wanted. So the government won. The Wako draft was defeated. I think that's the Wako draft or whatever it is. But the government one was defeated, and then there was no constitution to be amended. But when these people were removed from government, there was a big reshuffle. Kibaki did a big reshuffle, and then he came with a new cabinet, new government, and continued. And in about a year and a half, within 2007, there was going to be another general election. So in the general election now, these people who had been defeated and they had been given the orange, so they came with the Orange Movement now, Orange Movement of Kenya, or Orange Democratic Party of Kenya, whatever it was. Then Kina Kalonzo, Kina Raila, they came up. This is a 2007. They came up with orange, but somewhere between, before the election, before the general election, I think Kalonzo was mishandled. And Kalonzo supporters disagreed with the people who were mishandling him. These were the Raila group, and then they since they were holding the certificate, and Maanzo was holding the certificate, so he gave the certificate to Kalonzo, and then the Orange were told to do theirs. Then there was a lawyer, Mugambi, I think it was a Mugambi, there was a Mugambi lawyer or another lawyer who had a party. I think he donated it to Gitombu Manyara. It was a Mugambi Manyara or something. So he gave it to Gitombu Manyara. Gitombu Manyara then approached, I think approached Tinga, and then they formed the Orange. So there were two oranges. There was the Orange, I think Orange Democratic Party of Kenya. This was the one that Kalonzo had retained, and then there was the Orange of Raila, and then there was the DP. I think I don't understand what happened there, but DP was not finished. There was also still DP was there. So 2007 election comes, Kibaki wins, but there is an argument that Kibaki did not win. Raila is the one who won. So there was a big fight. And then you remember in 2008 what we call the mediation. Mediation. There was a big disagreement between the parties. The Nani party, Nani party, what is his name? The Nani party, what is his name? The Kibaki party and the Raila party. There was a big fight. Kibaki had come under PNU. Now he had come under PNU, I think, PNU and Raila. And then Kalonzo was in Orange. Kalonzo, I think the Kalonzo Orange became Wiper. So Kalonzo came with Wiper. Kalonzo's Orange was changed into Wiper because when Kina Raila also got another party Orange, so there was a confusion of the oranges. So I think Kalonzo came up with the Wiper and Mutula Kilonzo, and people like Johnson Mudhama, they came with the Wiper party. I think Mutula Kilonzo was a lead person in coming up with the Wiper slogan and the Wiper party. So Wiper became very popular in Ukambani and other areas like northwestern Kenya, some parts of Mombasa, and some parts of also central Kenya. But then there was the Kibaki party, PNU. PNU was also very powerful. So PNU was very powerful. There was some people in the South Rift also went with Wiper or PNU. And then Raila took Western and Nyanza. Raila took that with Orange, ODM. ODM became very formidable. And it said that ODM won. But when you look at the results, the Kivuitu Electoral Commission, said the man in charge of the Electoral Commission said he didn't know who won. Because that is when we came, you remember, the Tharaka Nithi saga. Because Raila had been winning all night when people were going to sleep. Raila was winning. But in the morning, then it came that there are some votes which have come from Tharaka Nithi, and Raila has been trounced by Kibaki. And there was a lot of argument with the mother Karua fighting for Kibaki, and kina Orengo fighting for Raila, and Kalonzo alikuwa amesema atapita katikati, so akapita katikati, he was made the vice president. So Kalonzo becomes vice president. 2008. Kalonzo becomes vice president. Yeah, Kalonzo becomes vice president, Kibaki becomes president, but the Orange Democratic Movement or party, whatever it is, Orange, wow, oh no, they refused. There was a big fight, people died, Uko Rift Valley, oh, kina Ruto. Ruto was very, 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 very mad. Ruto was very, very mad. Ruto was in Baba's party. That's why you hear him telling Sifuna the other day that he's a founder member of ODM. I think it's true, because he was in there very, very, very vocal. He really fought for ODM. And then it was so serious, the international community got involved. The international community got involved. People like Mkapa from Tanzania. There was this lady, Mrs. Machel, came in. There was this, Kofi Annan became the mediator. Kofi Annan became the mediator. So there was mediation. So that's how the Nusu Mkate business came in. That's how the prime minister position was created. So Raila was given that to appease him, and he went there with Akina Miguna. Miguna was very, very, very strong. So he became part of Raila's team at the PM's office. So now we are like two centers of power. There is the presidency and the PM. And we continued that way because nothing could happen. But then you remember now there is the Ocampo 6. Ocampo. Now there is a problem. People have died. Who has created this? The man in charge of civil service, Mudavadi, the man in charge of police, Arsenali, the man in charge of, I don't know, there is another person, the man in charge of this Kalenjin radio. I can't remember his name, but he was a short fellow. He was also involved. Ruto was named. The Waki is a Waki. Waki is the one who came with the names. And then they gave it to Ocampo. Ocampo was the prosecutor. So the Hague business came, ICC, International Court, the International Criminal Court. So now, there was a crime against humanity. It was declared that there was a lot of crime against humanity because over 1,000 people died. Over 1,000 people died. There was a big disagreement between the government and the Orange Party. So there was a big disagreement. There was a lot of fighting. People died in Nakuru. People died in Rift Valley. People died in Nyanza. People died in Molo. People died. A lot of people died. And then there is what we call the internal displaced people, the IPDs. The IPDs came up. And this has continued to date. I don't think all the IDPs have been located back. We still have that problem. So I'm going back to my land issue. Land, see, IDPD. Why were these people fighting? Now it became not a political thing, but a land thing. So all the people who were not Kalenjins and had occupied land in Rift Valley were being kicked out of their shambas, out of their land, and they had title deeds. How did you get here? Who gave you this land? This is our land. Community land. People started fighting. That's why we say they are internally displaced people, because they had been kicked out of the Rift Valley. And these are people who had been allocated that land through the schemes of government. Avesta Jackson Angaine. You remember Jackson Angaine, the Minister for Lands? These people had been allocated land in Molo, Rift Valley, and also you go Ban Forest, you go Eldoret. And all that, those people were kicked out. They were kicked out. Somebody you've gone to school from standard 1 and akuruka dakika ya mwisho. It was very serious. Very, very serious, and it's still serious. It's just under the carpet. We just don't want to talk about it. But let's talk about it a bit today. And then there was also the Mau thing, the Mau forest, the water tower. There was a lot of illegal land allocation. Land is the issue. You see, land is the issue, and why this doesn't want to, why this has not been, people have never sat down and discussed the land issue, is because if you discuss the land issue, then you will get the skeletons of the monarch, the skeletons of the British government, the skeletons of other Western beneficiaries of land in this country. There are so many. The Conservancy. The Conservancies, these are lands that belong to the communities, like the Maasai, the Ongiek, and there are many. Let's sit down and discuss the land issue. Unless we go to the land issue, you can keep on doing elections every 5 years, but you will not solve this problem, because there are people who are still not happy. There are people who are allocated land illegally. There were people who are allocated land by being assisted by government. There are people who grabbed land. Some of these lands have even been titled. But all this it will be in vain, because some of us and others know that we have people who should not be owning land here, and we have people who should be owning land here, and they don't have a single piece of land, and they are in the slums of Kibera, in the slums of Mathare, in the slums of Kariobangi, in the slums of wherever. All these slums, nobody should be in a slum in Kenya. We have enough land that people can be allocated. Let's sit down and discuss the land issue. Watu wajengewe manyumba. Kama if the land is going to be used for agriculture, itumiwe for agriculture, lakini tuache kuambiwa hakuna shamba. I mean, how can the animals be more important than humans? Animals at kuna Nairobi National Park. I have got nothing against the national park. It's a good thing, but we can't have a national park when people don't have homes, don't have land. People want to cultivate. People want to start nursery trees like me. I'm lucky. I got what about the person who wants to start a nursery tree and they don't have a piece of land? They have to do it on the roadsides. You see all these nursery trees are on the roadsides. Why roadside? Give them land. Show them what to do. I'll have to plant a miti. Why not? We want to do tree planting. Why are we not allocated land? Let's allocate people land. Let's allocate people. This is a cry of the masses. This is a cry of Mwindi Mbingu. This is a cry of Dedan Kimathi. This is a cry of Musembi Ndenge. This is a cry of Koigi Wamwere. This is a cry of all the people who want land. This is a cry of Bildad Kagia. This is a cry of J.D. Kali. This is a cry of everybody who wants land to be allocated. Let's not dish out land illegally, and then we say that this is the corruption I'm talking about. How come some people got land, some don't have? How? What happened? When did we sit down and allocate this land? Come on, let's sit down and allocate land. We can't have people having 5,000 acres, and there is somebody who doesn't even have an eighth, and they are ready to do work. So we get to 2010. The constitution is programmated. A new constitution is programmated in 2010. So now we have the new constitution, which is very good. But like I told you, there is a rift, and there is now the Ocampo 6. There were 10, actually. The names were 10, but 4 kind of removed. I think they didn't have enough evidence. But even with the 6, they went to The Hague, and they didn't get enough evidence. So the government machinery, or the people had been accused, that is Kina Uhuru Kenyatta and people like the current president Ruto, they beat the rap. There was not enough evidence, so they were released, and they actually ran for presidency in 2013, and they became a president and deputy president, and then they continued with that, and around I don't know, I think 2017 or 2016. There was some disagreement, but you see, they had come together to fight for the case, the ICC. So Uhuru Uhuru and Ruto became very powerful, and there was this man called Mutula Kilonzo who had said that he will do a motion. He will do a motion of impeachment in Parliament because these people are criminals. They are not supposed to be. They were not supposed to be in the ballot box, but they were. They were in the ballot box of the presidency. So Mutula had threatened that he will, if he is elected senator, he will bring a motion of impeachment. In any case, he didn't manage to bring the motion. He was killed, or rather, he died. We don't know what happened. That's a story for another time, because Mutula's case, I don't think, has been resolved. People say he had Viagra. Some say he was killed. There are many stories. We don't know. We will get to know. But the point here is land. These people were displaced. Some land was bought. They were supposed to be given. Usually I see the president go, he says he's giving them, everybody 20,000, I think, to go to that land that was bought by the government. I don't understand. There's a lot of, like I say, the land issue or the independence issue is shrouded in secrecy. Shrouded in secrecy. So let's be transparent. So transparency has never come. Multipartyism was supposed to come with transparency and accountability. But to date, accountability, that's corruption, and transparency has not been seen. To date. So 92 hakuna kitu mmefanya. 92 hakuna. Repealing to section 2A is not good enough. 63 hakuna kitu mlifanya. Tukupata uhuru hakuna kitu mlifanya. Na shamba je? What about the land? Nothing. Let's sit down. We still have got a lot to go.